Number 6, apprentice guidelines. Those from the last meeting, you all have a packet here from Sam.
Make a motion to discuss.
All in favor? Well, we can discuss it. All right.
Y'all have any extra copies?
What?
Any extra copies?
It's the exact same thing that was handed out last meeting.
She said it's the same thing she handed in.
I believe I did. Bear with me a second.
Those qualifications for the unlicensed.
Just like mentioned, a few auctioneers that I had a chance to, 4 or 5 different auctioneers that I had a chance to visit with about the apprenticeship program. Feels like we may ought to follow some other states and do away with the apprenticeship program, the school testing and stuff. So that was something I kind of wanted to just discuss a little bit about. I get some feedback from people saying, to make it a level playing field, send everybody to school. That way you knew that you knew what you learned in school and the hours that you got. Everybody was calling it more consistent type of curriculum for the auctioneer license. So I'll just kind of put that out there. I don't know what y'all hear, but that's what I'm hearing.
I agree with you. For instance, I've been an auctioneer for what, 30 some odd years. We don't do car auctions, we do real estate auctions. We don't auction construction equipment, and I think that most auctioneers today are specialized in their own particular field. So even though I as an auctioneer may have a working knowledge of different types of auctions, unless I actually do these auctions, it's going to be very difficult for me to impart my knowledge on my apprentice unless I'm actually doing those auctions. And I think, schools would have various sections that they could take.
Can't hear you.
Statute would have to be changed to accomplish what they're talking about.
That is a route that's currently listed in statutes, the way that become licensed. We would have to eliminate that, just the way Texas did. We'd have to go to legislature. Yeah, it's gone. Now, I don't know how many other states. I have not looked at which states have it or.
Did you look at how many?
No, I think we had some information that saying it sent us a while back, but I hadn't looked at it recently. No, Texas has been major. I just feel, if I have the floor again, is it okay? I just feel like the hours of starting on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, as we did, we didn't get out of class till 7 o'clock at night. Every day was tough. It was a great school for 9 days solid. When you came out of there, you had a true broad knowledge of what auctioneers should do in a lot of different auctions, whether it was automobile auction, benefit auction, brown furniture, whatever. It was a situation that the school really teaches you, and then it prepares you for your test also.
What school did you go to?
Texas Auction Academy. It was definitely a situation where he was the professor or the teacher and you were the student. And until that last day and you completed that last test, then he became your friend. But it was a situation that you were there to learn, and it was very serious. And we had many professional world champion auctioneers come in. It was just a tremendous educational opportunity. If you're going to get into this business, you need to dedicate a time of these 9 days or whatever to be educated for those hours. Now, the apprenticeship program is geared and stuff like this, but you don't truly have certified teachers. You have other auctioneers that are teaching an apprentice. I think having certified world champion type auctioneers in some of these schools that we have an opportunity to go to is just in my opinion, a much better opportunity for someone to get into this business and get into it right, because it covers all the areas, from different options to your chant, to the ethics and everything that's there. So I would like to see us, one, ball this up until we can make this stronger on what our regulations are, and then maybe move forward, if this board sees fit, with some legislative action to do away with the apprenticeship program completely, and get it where we shadow Texas and what they're doing, who has a very fine group of auctioneers leading their charge through their legislature to make sure their rules and regulations are very good also. We want to be the best in the nation. And right now, I think we may be falling behind a little bit as far as the opportunity on this apprenticeship program, that we maybe need to move forward to eliminate this and go to strictly school.
I want
My opinion is more.
to go a little bit further, but I think you not only need the school, which I think is invaluable, but maybe you need also a short length of time wherein someone that has passed the test can serve under an auctioneer, a licensed auctioneer, to see practically what goes on in the industry. A lot of times they get their degrees and they graduate and they don't become an auctioneer because they don't know what they're doing. Or they're afraid to know what they're doing.
Well,
Getting in the ring as an auctioneer or bid calling or whatever it may be, it gives you practical experience.
Well, when I went to auctions, it was
Madam Chairman,
$200 maybe hours, is that right, Al?
I think 84, 90, something, I think 84.
Can you hear now? Jim, I'd like you to speak up, the room can't hear.
Like I said, when I went to auction school, it was 120 hours. I mean, we not only went to class, we had sales, we had auction sales, we had to work night on Saturdays. And, yeah, you got a lot of hands-on practice, and it's a different type of auction. Completely different from one another. We can call it, the back auctions. So, I like how there's just something here about this apprentice program that's not right. I mean, it's really hasn't got the deep. I went along with the guy today, the guy who was strictly because the person that was taught.
Well, no one today has one. No one today has one.
Yeah, you guys think it's good.
No, we approved one that just come out of the apprentice program.
correct.
But he went to school.
Yeah.
He changed it when-
No.
You're right.
I
Completed.
completed that.
You're right.
You're right. I was thinking of something for the guy that.
But, I like how I think he's really true. I spent over $3,000 to $4,000, and this is in 1974 for the auction school. I feel like now, if somebody wants to be an auctioneer, hold them to do it. That way they've got some money invested in these apprentices. Other than what they put up to the board, they don't have anything. They get paid to do what they're doing. So that's the way I do it.
Madam Chairman, I have a question. How many auctioneers actually are licensed by the board but actually don't participate in auctions? If you know.
I don't know. I don't know how people have
Is
that.
it
Yeah.
several amount?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
It's not like they have to report in and say, I'm not
I
auctioning.
know, but I would
Right.
suspect there are a lot of them that don't.
How you know?
Yeah, I was just looking at this list on the apprentice information. Of course, Texas, we talked about that. State of Washington, no apprentice program. State of Virginia, no apprentice program. State of New Hampshire, no apprentice program. State of Mississippi, no apprentice program. And the other ones that do have apprentice program are a lot more restricted than what our guidelines are. And kind of counter back to one of the things that also, too, when we got out of auctioneer school, in order to learn and to cut our teeth a little bit, they said the first 2 years that you're out there in the auctioneer field, you shouldn't even get paid. You just do it because you want to hone your skill.
Right.
So it was a situation that, yeah, we put up probably $1,200-1,300 tuition, another $1,000 for the hotel room, the trip up there. It was roughly around about a $3,000 expense. And 9 days of my life from a Saturday to the following Sunday that I had to take vacation time and stuff like this to make a commitment to become an auctioneer. And I think if folks want to become auctioneers, maybe that's what we need to be as in a state that they're committed. And that way we'll have a better group of auctioneers coming out.
You want to put this to the side, or you want to put it in force until we get out of all the way?
Can't hear.
He's asking if he wants to put it aside or put it in force until.
Well, and basically, in the question on this, I think we do need to get this stricter until we can get legislative action on the other, in my opinion. You know, this seems that we've struck through some things to make it tougher on the apprenticeship opportunities, or make it more stringent, maybe would be the word, to get an apprentice license. I guess maybe the first formal motion I would ask protocol of our attorneys would it be protocol to make a motion, see if I can get a second, to asking y'all to go to the legislature to change the apprentice program?
Certainly, we could, if you wanted to file a motion and ask us to go ahead to eliminate it. It's not going to take a lot of writing, it's just a matter of, what Texas does, they just drew a line through that portion of licensing statute that said this is how you can become an auction. So it's not going to be complicated. We can draw up a bill and have that ready, but it's not going to be until next March that we have, as far as how to open the next session. And it would be appropriate for next March. So we certainly can submit it, that's what the board, we can ask the legislature to submit it, we can back it as a request for housekeeping for the board, so that shouldn't be a problem, that's what you need to do.
Feel pretty strong about that. I'd like to put that in form of a motion.
Take a motion.
I have a motion that we go forward with eliminating the apprentice program.
And I'd
And
second.
going strictly to the education in the school system.
I'd just like to add one thing more. The guidelines for becoming an appraiser, you not only have to take an exam, but you have to work under a qualified appraiser, certified appraiser, and do 250 appraisals before you can even take the test. So a lot of the programs now require that you actually have on-hand experience in a particular field so that you know what you're doing.
So you want amendments to say you have to go to school and become an apprentice?
Well, I would like to kind of point that back.
Have to push it back.
My motion would be just to strike it now. I think what we may should do now, and just to, maybe we can agree to disagree on this, but I think we kind of are taking a pretty big leap right now. If we get this through the legislature and kind of move forward with that, then if we see that we need that at a later date, we could add that. I think right now, making this motion to do away with the apprentice programs is pretty big leap. And I think just doing away with it completely in one of the schools would be good. I'm at this point in time, without talking to other people, I would just rather support it in this way. Maybe we'll come back with that at a later point if it's seen. So I would ask my motion to stay the same and not amended. If you mind seconding that.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
We have appraisers.
Madam Chair.
We're not doing this for you. You have public comments again. You get to address the board. You're
Well,
on the
I'll address it
agenda.
then. I mean, I was just asking a question, since y'all given all this information, my question was very plain and simple, was how many violations have come from auctioneers who have gone through the apprentice program that have come before this board? Because if it's not an apprentice issue, then I think we're making a mistake and trying to remove something that's not causing a problem.
I think that's a good question, but I think there's no way to know how many of them. I don't think they keep statistics.
Well, I mean, the applicants are
All right, we're going to
there.
stick to our thing. This will go on forever.
That's no problem. I'll
Anyone?
address it. That's no problem, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
All right.
That's my motion. Will a second.
I second.
Other discussion would be, I just feel like we're moving in the right direction, that to eliminate this apprenticeship program and give us an opportunity to have better auctioneers in the state of Louisiana that have a quality education in these schools. And I think would be a level playing field.
I got a question. This pertains to the bill. I know the legislature will meet March. So, will it be legislative process, the governor signs it, that means August 1st, August 15th, so we can take that.
That's right. Unless we ask for the governor's signature, which would only be a couple months difference anyway.
What are you doing today?
What we're gonna do is do that.
We keep what we had.
Keep licensing people that are apprentices, if they qualify. You have to.
Whether they turn down there.
Yeah.
Or these amendment ones, strike through that we had, if we approve this today.
May I give just a little administrative tidbit for rule change? If you want to submit a rule change, the next deadline would be October 10th, and which your rule would not be official until January, February.
That's correct.
At least 6 months, actually, in some cases.
The rule, you got to
If-
publish it in the register, there's a notice of intent, gives an opportunity for public comment. After the public comment, then depending on, you might have some comments that you'd like to make a change to, then it has to be finally published, and then the register comes out the 20th of each month. So it's a little bit of process, but if you want to proceed, you can't adopt this today and have it effect.
No, it's not effective right now. But we could publish it, and it would be a backup if you wanted to do this. If you just want to hold off and see if you can just eliminate the entire program, you'll save some money, because it does cost us to go through this process for the register. So that's a
So
question.
if we make this motion, I mean,
We
the
would-
motion's been made and seconded, if it passes, so then will the public be able to come comment?
Once it's promulgated in the register, they would be able to come and comment on it. They would have a comment period. So that, in that way, depending on whether a hearing is required by the legislature or by the board, then we would just go forward with, any recommendations or changes that they decide need to be made, and then we would publish it. Again, you're looking at January, February, March at that point. Then you're gonna look at March for the legislature. That's right.
But if we go to the legislature straight into the law change, it doesn't have to be posted.
No.
Correct.
It does not have to be. We would post afterwards, but we change the regulations after that point to reflect there's no apprenticeship required or allowed.
It's only question.
Could I cover full? I think we move forward with the apprentice program, eliminating that through the legislature. Let's go. And just leave the other guidelines like they are until we see how the legislature acts on that. And then if we have to come back and we tweak this, because we still have an apprentice program, we can look at this. I'd like to eliminate the apprenticeship program.
And just ignore this political time.
Yes, in my opinion, just one.
So we have your motion stands. Darlene seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
All right.
Could you read the motion in? 'Cause so many things you said.
Would you repeat your motion? So,
And I
Freddie
would let
didn't
legal
hear.
counsel repeat it for me, just so it is legal, but in essence, saying going to the legislature to eliminate the apprenticeship program as it stands, that from that point forward, everyone that would get a license to this auctioneer board would have to come out of a licensed, certified auctioneer school.
And that's pretty much it. Yeah, we're going to prepare a basic legislation for the board to review and approve and request that it's submitted to the legislature for filing. That would be our next step. Like I said, it's not complicated, because simply the only thing I'm going to say this very quickly, because I'm not sure it's totally relevant here, but what Texas did, they stopped all apprenticeships in mid. If you were in apprenticeship in mid-year, they're gone. So you have to think about that too. If we're going to cancel it, or do we want to cancel them and just start telling people that they may want to consider going to school?
I think as it gets to the legislative act, you can give us a date. We can just say, as of this date, once we get it through, but we gotta get it passed first.
Oh, absolutely. No
Yeah.
question.
And that way, I don't, that's something that's post-passing, and then we can make that decision as it comes forward. And we may not have that many people in the apprentice program, and I don't wanna be foolhardy to not let them finish it out if they've already started and they've got 9 months of the year invested. You know,
Okay.
but I mean,
It's
if
just-
they
it's
have
just
one, if they
consideration.
have 1 week, and that's where we may hash those guidelines out. If they have 1 month invested, oh well, stop, go to school, or 6 months invested, stop, go to school. But if they're in their 9th or 10th month for a 1-year apprenticeship program, then that's where we hash that out amongst us. That's at a later date.
You can just do it so that you can eliminate it, and put an effective date on that.
Right.
That's the date in which everybody has to start doing it. Or you can provide in the statute to say there's going to be a phase out of it
Yeah.
to deal with the specific question that you just raised.
Exactly, and that's basically what the main thing we're gonna decide, that once we eliminate it, it's gone, it's a question of whether it's gone that minute or is it gone at the end of everybody.
And that's where we're looking at your expertise.
And the question will be, do we need to have this in place, because that may not be for another year. That was the question.
Perfect.
And I'll put I'll ask, and I think the board will go ahead and put the issue of what we're going to put forward in the next meeting, because we need to have it done before January.
Yeah.
So we just add that to the agenda.
Everybody understands the motion, the second, we're gonna roll call it.
I vote yes.
Mr. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Ms. Stein?
Motion passed.